This is the Judicial Brady list, and today we're going to review the George Floyd case and the presiding judge, Peter Cahill, Judge Peter A. Cahill, presiding judge, and in his role in the George Floyd murder case. I'd previously done a video on this, and subsequent to that, there's been a new documentary released called The Fall of Minneapolis, and it was created by a woman named Liz Collin, who was a news reporter in Minneapolis at the time of George Floyd, and she claimed that she was canceled and lost her job as a result of her affiliation with the, being married to the head of the police union. And it's pretty comprehensive documentary from the perspective of the police union and the police, and it's a very different perspective from probably what it is that you've heard so far, what the media has had to say about this, what the mayors had to say about this, the council, the district attorney, the police chief, so on and so forth. So it's definitely worthwhile seeing. You'll probably see some materials that you'd never seen before. They're suggesting that the body cam footage had been withheld for 2.5 months, because the mayor and everybody else was attempting to control the narrative, and they thought that it inaccurately represented the situation. So again, this is the Judicial Brady list, and the main focus is on Judge Peter A. Cahill. But the entire case was it just doesn't appear as though there are any non-guilty parties in this entire process. According to the police union, the mayor lied, the chief of police lied. The chief of police indicated that this maximal restraint technique, where they're suggesting George Floyd put his knee on the neck of, or Derek Chauvin put his knee on the neck of George Floyd. And the mayor says, or the chief of police said under oath that it was not a part of their policy, part of their training. Whereas members of the police say that everybody was trained on it, and it was a standard policy. And so there's a big disconnect there. Of course, the district attorney is on the side of the chief of police and on the side of the mayor. So of course they won't take up perjury against the chief of police. So the police union's complaint against the judge is that he didn't allow apparently a PowerPoint presentation demonstrating that that technique was approved by the police department. Let's see, they are also suggesting that the judge wouldn't allow into evidence some footage from the ambulance, and other miscommunication between the fire department and the EMT. They're suggesting the delay of the EMT was partially responsible, and also that an oxygen line hadn't been hooked up. They're also suggesting that the judge inappropriately excluded George Floyd's criminal record, and I don't really see a problem with that because whether he's got a criminal record or not, has no bearing whether or not it's appropriate to murder the guy. So I'm okay with the judge on that one. But the judge selectively allowing testimony to meet his agenda or meet an agenda is inappropriate, and I find it to be untrustworthy behavior. And in his decision, he went on and on about how the sentencing of Derek Chauvin was unbiased and not influenced by all these outside factors, which is pretty obviously a lie. So I'm going to suggest that, you know, the police unions focus on the maximal restraint technique is, you know, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate the hypocrisy and the lies of the chief of police. You know, that they were trained in this fashion, but they are also trained to de-escalate, and they're also trained not to be abusing people who are in handcuffs. And the other police officers are responsible as well, because, you know, they allowed this to happen. You know, you de-escalate. You don't just keep abusing a guy who's obviously under stress. And if they're suggesting that he's on drugs, well, maybe that may be another reason why they shouldn't keep escalating him to keep until he has a heart attack. But what would have happened if they put George into the ambulance? He goes to the hospital, and it turns out he's fine. What would have happened? Well, they probably would have brushed the whole thing under the rug, and nobody would ever know about it. But even if he did live, all 4 of those cops should go to jail. But the thing is, they're not the only ones responsible. Their training, their supervision, the union, the mayor, all these people that lead those police officers to believe that their behavior is appropriate and that they can get away with it, they are all responsible. And I'm going to suggest that the district attorney is responsible, and so is Judge Peter A. Cahill. You know, when a judge sees a crime, he should say something. And routinely across this country, this doesn't happen. What happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd is a microcosm as to what happens what goes on to the criminal justice system in this country. And Judge Peter A. Cahill did not execute his obligations properly. He did not act in good faith, and he deserves to be on the judicial Brady list. Because he let his own self-interest instead of the justice and the truth, guide the proceeding. And I understand they were under a lot of pressure, but it's his job. You know, there's nobody is innocent in this case from top to bottom, and that includes George Floyd. But the thing is, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Just because George passed a bad $20 bill doesn't mean you get to kill him. Doesn't mean you get to jerk him around, yank him around by the handcuffs, just physically abuse him. It just isn't justified in any way, shape, or form. And those cops are all part of it. And I heard what 2 of the officers' mothers had to say, and I can appreciate it. But the thing is, what they did was wrong. Was it 19 years wrong? Well, I don't know about that. But anyway, the chief lied about that technique, and that influenced Derek Chauvin's sentence, and that's not right. That's not right. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying he may not be guilty of that particular charge. He might be perhaps the next notch down. Well, okay, what more do we have? I think that's pretty much it. Routinely across this country, judges, hear cases. They hear and observe what police officers are doing, and they say nothing. And when they see a crime, they're obligated to say something, and they don't. Just next, and it's not appropriate. So Judge Peter A. Cahill is now inducted into the Judicial Brady list.